Oh yeah, Monty and the Pharaoh, #1 wrestling podcast. Yeah, when it comes to podcasts, they are the cream of the crop. Yeah, dig it?
We know what you're thinking. Did they fire off 6 fascinating points of interest or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all the excitement of watching and listening to Long Island's #1 wrestling podcast, I've actually forgotten myself. But being this is the Monty and the Pharaoh podcast, live from Indie Music Studios in Ronkonkoma, and the fact that they were talking to yet another champion wrestling star, one of the most powerful and talented performers from the wrestling franchise, and not to forget, well-informed and provocative interview questions asked and answered. It was such an interesting and entertaining hour, the questions nearly blew your head clean off. Now you've got to ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do ya, punk?
What's up, guys? It's Gina Marie here from Big Brother, and you're watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast with Monty and the Pharaoh.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monty and the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island. At the board, the main man, the producer. He's no longer a secret. He is a fan favorite. Matty Ice. Matty, how are you, pal?
Doing great as always.
Matty is now training the young Jedi, Abe. So he's getting him ready. He's being the...
Force is strong with this one.
He is the forces.
There we go.
This may be the Luke Skywalker of producers coming up. And would that make Matt the Darth Vader?
Actually, I was thinking about Matt. He's a lot taller, but, yes, my son, he could be Yoda.
Oh, my God. You're going to go into a Yoda imitation?
Going to Yoda, I will not.
If anyone didn't know, this is the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Pharaoh. Jimmy, how are you, bud?
I'm just Ducky. Oh, my God.
Dude, you got nothing to say about my shirt?
You got nothing to say about my chin thing?
That's been there, though.
No, it hasn't. It's brand new. It's an old look, but it's new this week.
Yeah,
you
it's old, new.
Nobody noticed since I cut off my Superstar Graham goatee. Somebody noticed. And I do a little Pharaoh thing, and you're like, wait a minute, what about your shirt?
Can you dye that thing?
Yeah, I probably should.
You should go like black.
But I think the gray goes good with the crazy blue eyes.
Might be the case.
Nobody ever sees them because
it might be the case.
We got the shtick to do. The shtick.
Anyway.
Yeah, go on.
Subject is my shirt.
Yeah, what about you?
People at work thought my shirt was outdated. What did you think?
I like it. Personally,
Thank you.
I like the color combo. I think it's kind of cool.
I think tomorrow I'm going to wear one.
What's wrong with it?
I like it. That's why I'm wearing it. They
what
said
do
it's
want? Something that looks like a tablecloth?
Said it makes me look like I'm 80 years old or something
80
like that.
years
I should be in
old.
like Florida at some kind of like old retirement home.
Why? Why you? You don't strike me as ready for the retirement home. Maybe
Not yet.
the psych ward with me.
You could be.
But
Great show Saturday with ECW legend Bill Alfonso. Thoughts on that?
Oh, come on, man. I was waiting for two years to get a hold of Fonzie. Great guy.
And we got big news with Bill Alfonso
we
in
do?
the upcoming weeks. Yep, Bill Alfonso will be part of the Monty and the Pharaoh show, as we'll be doing a segment.
Oh, my
We're
God.
just finalizing the deal.
Wow. So
Right?
when I wished upon that star the other night, it worked?
If that's what you wish for, I don't know.
Well, I'm doing. At least I'm wishing on behalf of the show. Can you give me that much?
Yeah, but
You loser! You could have asked for $1 million.
Hold on. If I had a choice between
Right.
Bill Alfonso doing a segment every month on Monty and the Pharaoh and Mandy Rose's ass, I would take Mandy Rose
Wait a
every
second.
time.
You didn't offer me Mandy Rose's ass.
Bro, you just said you wished
didn't tell
upon
me
a
I could
star.
wish
I don't
for
need
that.
to teach you.
Why didn't you tell me I could wish for that? I would have gotten a serving of two. One for you, one for me.
Very good.
2 for me, 1 for you. 3 for me, 1 for... Go on. Next.
Colin Kaepernick posted on his social media.
I was in a good mood. All right, what did Colin Kaepernick do? What do we got? I'm going to try to behave. Go ahead.
The abolishment of the police.
I'm not going to behave.
What do you think, pal?
What are you talking about?
When does a man go too far?
What?
He wants the abolishment of police.
Today, I'm excited to
Hold
share.
on. And then he wants the reopening of jails. No more jails.
No more jails.
No police. No more jails.
So everyone's going to handle it themselves.
That's what he's thinking.
Does that sound good to you? Because
No.
it sounds kind of dangerous to me.
What it sounds like is I hate Colin Kaepernick as much as I hated him the day yesterday, I guess is the point.
Wow. This is a severe act of douchebaggery.
Like,
I behaved. That's an act of douchebaggery. He's a douchebag.
At what point
Hi,
does
douchebag.
At what point does someone get held accountable for their comments like that?
I don't know, but without structure, you better check the human race's behavioral pattern, guys.
Well, our
You
special
gotta have
guest,
some structure,
our
man.
special
We're pretty
guest,
rough.
our special guest who will be announcing shortly. I'm going to ask him what he wants to be called. I really want to know what he thinks of that. But let's finish this off. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees.
What?
Tina Turner was.
Is this official?
This is official.
Tina Turner.
Carol-
I can't disagree.
Carol King?
I cannot disagree. Carol King, great songwriter.
The Go-Go's.
Cool.
Right? Gotta go
Yeah,
Go-Go's.
no, sure. And I wasn't a huge fan at all, but yes, of course.
Jay-Z.
How can you not? What am I, ignorant? Jay-Z, of course. Go on.
Foo Fighters.
Oh, thank you, man. See, now I get excited, but that's because I'm a rock guy. Yes, absolutely.
And
wow.
Todd
Dave Grohl. Wait a
Rundgren.
minute.
Well,
Dave Grohl's in twice.
yeah.
Dave Grohl, genius. Well, I mean, think about that band Nirvana. You had Kurt Cobain in front, just changing the world as far as the genre, the 90s, which I know depressed you. We could get into that at some other time about how the 90s came along and depressed you with the music. But they're in the background. It's Dave Grohl. Oh, my God, what a freaking career. And who's the last one? You mean to tell me that Todd Rundgren finally got in?
And he doesn't want it.
He doesn't.
Doesn't want it. So if I'm the Rock and Roll Hall of
Wait a
Fame, I
minute,
think
he's
you
the
kick
guy
his
who-
ass out too.
Wait a minute, he's the guy who wrote "Time heals the wounds no one can see," and his wounds aren't healed.
Bro, I'm not challenging the man's talent. What I'm trying to say, if you don't want to be part of something, then don't waste the nomination and get rid of him.
Wow, hello, it's me. That was a great song. What's wrong with him? Wouldn't you accept this honor?
I know someone that would accept the honor.
Who's that?
And that's the band that sings the theme song for Monty and the Pharaoh, the band Wisteria Hall, led by the lead singer, Mr. Jimmy Farrow, along with his partner, Bart Griggs.
Bartman.
Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as our theme song, Riding High, In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain. Got to tell you, dude, not just putting you over, love your band.
Thank you, sir.
You are this close.
I'm a well-kept
In
secret.
my opinion, you
I'm
are
a
this
well-kept
close.
secret.
Please go to Spotify, iTunes, and Reverb Nation where you can download Wisteria Hall's music. And please go to their YouTube page and give them a like and a subscribe. I know you would like it,
You
right?
said load.
Anyway, if you don't know it, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. You can catch Monty and the Pharaoh on the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube page, the Monty and Pharaoh Facebook Live page. Hear the Monty and the Pharaoh Show on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Anchor. Also catch the Monty and Pharaoh Show on the Twitch TV Monty and the Pharaoh page, and on New York Cable in the reduced version, where the special guest will be reduced.
Boy, he will not be reduced. He will be condensed and abbreviated for television purposes. Next.
Channel 115 every Tuesday, Channel 20 at 2 a.m. to 2:30
Pharaoh
on
time.
Fridays, and on Saturday mornings, Channel 115, 6 a.m. to
Time for Pharaoh to
6:30.
go to bed.
We'll be right back. We are super excited, but I need to ask him before we go to commercial break.
Okay.
Do we call you Eugene? Do we call you Nicholas? What would you like to be
How
called,
about
sir?
Nick? What do you mean, Nicholas?
That doesn't matter. People call me Eugene. People call me Nick.
But what do you like? What do you like? Seriously, what do you like?
The wrestling fans know me as Eugene, so they can call me Eugene.
Well,
You
then
call
we're
me Nick,
calling
either
you
one.
Eugene.
That
You
works
got
for
it.
me.
We'll be right back with this pro wrestling icon, Eugene, in a minute.
Stay tuned for Eric Bischoff's nephew.
Tag America, representing the very best of American ingenuity, craftwork, and creative arts. Handcrafted wood flags, yard signs, 9-line apparel, artisan candles, and outdoor garden accessories. Custom commissioned murals, portraits, and signs by artist owners and residents. Grand opening May 23rd. Wrestling superstar and former world champion and Mr. USA Tony Atlas will be there from 12 to 4 for limited edition print signing. Free line dancing classes 1 to 4. Rain date for line dancing June 6th. Raffle prizes where 100% of proceeds will go go to Tunnel to Towers Foundation and 10% of net proceeds of in-store sales as well. Military, police, firefighters, healthcare workers, we want your signatures on our wall of honor. Easy to find, fun to browse. 14 East Broadway, Port Jeff, opposite the ferry, in the Lighthouse Landing Shops, 2 doors from Echo-Lynn Jewelers. Come visit us at 14 East Broadway, Port Jeff, or call 631-741-2344. Because made in America matters.
Right. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monte Farrow, only seen here out of Indie Music TV in Long Island, New York. We're here with former WWE superstar Eugene in studio. All right. So everybody knows, before we even get to the wrestling stuff, Eugene, I have to ask you some serious questions.
Mm-hmm.
Israel's on fire.
Wow.
We've got war in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
Gas prices are through the roof.
Yeah, mm-hmm. So that coming.
Right? Lumber's up 126%.
Mm-hmm.
Food index up 25%. Silver's up 38%. Copper's up 50%. Soybeans up 71%. Oil's up 80%.
What are you, JBL?
Pipeline jobs lost. $1.9 trillion deficit.
Is that all?
Hold on. I'm
Is
not
that all?
done. 9% unemployment, and the jobs have never been so abundant, and people don't want to work.
Oh, boy.
Before we even get to wrestling, I got to ask you, what is Eugene thinking about what's going on in this country right now?
Did you hear about Beirut? He's the best damn baseball player ever.
Hey, he could pitch and hit.
That's right.
Who can do that?
Did he have an action figure, though?
I don't know if they had them back
You know the
then.
best part about having your own action figure? You get to play with yourself in public.
Wait. Come
Oh,
on.
my God.
That is probably the best answer I've ever heard.
You
That
know
works
what?
for me.
I gotta tell you, I
Would
didn't
you
expect
expect any less from Eugene?
I
This
did
is
not expect
Eugene,
it.
for
I
God's
did
sake.
not expect it.
I'm kind of glad it
I've
happened.
been to 42 countries. I've been to all 50 states. I've been to Kalamazoo, Kathmandu, Timbuktu, Rancho Cucamonga, and Lake Titicaca. And you know what I like the best? Is being right here on the Monty and the Pharaoh Show.
That's it, baby.
There
Woo!
it is. There it is.
All right, Farrow, you're at it, big man.
I am? I don't even know how to follow that up. Oh, my God. What if I don't get a serious answer about his beginnings?
I think you'll get some serious
All right,
answers.
let's try. Eugene, how did you wind up becoming a wrestler in the first place? And for those at home who don't realize what kind of career this man had over at OVW, this is a 10-time
Oh, yeah.
OVW champion.
But who's counting?
And a WWE World Tag Team champion with the much-respected William Regal.
Absolutely.
Eugene, how did it all start with wrestling?
That's what I wanted to do since I was 7 years old, since I saw Saturday night's main event and saw the Hulkster, when I was in high school, I was in the homecoming court. I didn't win king, but I was in the homecoming court, and as we're marching in the gym for the big parade, they said, Nick Dinsmore wants to be a WWE wrestler someday, WWF at the time. And a girl that was 2 grades behind me came up to me in the hall one day and said, my dad's got a wrestling school right here in southern Indiana. And that was the Nightmare Danny Davis. And when I was 19, I started training with Danny Davis, which eventually became OVW. At the time, it was just the Nightmare Danny Davis School of Wrestling. And then I started training in 96. In 98, I think, is when he partnered with WWE and became the training facility for the developmental talent. And then the first crowd was Batista and Brock Lesnar and John Cena, Randy Orton, Shelton Benjamin, but Victoria. And by that time, I had about 3 years of experience. So I was kind of like a player coach, working with them in practice and working with them, at the events. And then from there, I'd wrestled for WCW also. I did the very first Brian Pillman show, the very first match on the very first Brian Pillman Memorial show, and I got noticed by Terry Taylor. I wrestled for USWA in their last 7.
Let me just stop you there real quick, Eugene. Talk about Brian Pillman, right? Dark Side of the Ring just had the thing on Brian Pillman. An honest opinion. Me and Farrell go back and forth with it on the show, right? So Pillman to me was a great wrestler, but I always felt he was a very secondary, third level wrestler. He wasn't a main event guy. Where Farrow thinks he was a really top level guy. Thoughts on Pillman?
I can't punish him for his booking. That's how I look at it. I still feel he was great.
I think he was a main event talent. I don't know that he was written into a main event spot. But I mean, he transcended at a time when the internet was just sparking. I mean, he crossed all the levels and became a star on his own, without being under contract.
Right.
Definitely phenomenal.
Right. When you said you were about 3 years in at OVW when that legendary class came
Oh,
through
my
that
God.
you mentioned. Did you what was your impressions when these guys first walked through the door? The young Randy Orton, the young Batista, the young Brock Lesnar, the young John Cena. Are you hearing this list?
That's crazy.
I mean, what was this? Did you realize these guys were all going to be big timers right away, or?
Well, there was also several other guys that didn't make it, but were just enormous physical specimens.
Okay.
There was a guy that was 7'2". There was bodybuilders. There was, all other kinds of athletes. And I never thought that I would make it to WWE, but I thought I could be an OVW wrestler and help train these guys, and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I ended up getting signed to a contract in '99, developmental contract, I was like, oh my gosh. But it was kind of like I was going to be the tackling dummy and the guy to work with them in the ring, and Rip Rogers and Danny Davis and Jim Cornett would kind of tell them what to do on the sidelines. And then as time progressed, and I just kept getting better and kept helping the new class come in, and I saw that people would often complain about living in Louisville or wrestling for, not Monday Night Raw, upset that they're working for WWE, but they're not, huge stars, complain, and all of a sudden they get called up. So I tell my students now, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So I told Doug Basham, one half the Basham brothers, I said, I think I'm going to quit and try to go to Japan, which I had no intention of doing because A, I didn't know anybody in Japan, and B, I was living at home. I drove maybe 2 hours to the longest show. I mean, it's a perfect place for me in my hometown. Doug told Dean Malenko, Dean told Johnny Ace told Vince, and all of a sudden I'm sitting in a meeting with Vince McMahon. So about 6 months before that meeting, Rip Rogers, his son has autism, he comes to me and says, what about a wrestler that, isn't very social, he can't put the square peg in the square hole, can't tie the boots, but the minute the bell rings, he can do stuff he saw on TV flawlessly because he's a wrestling fan. He knows all the trivia, he knows all the history, he knows everything about it. So I kept that in the back of my head. And at the time in Louisville, they would send the agents down every month. And I pitched it to the agents like Dean and Arn Anderson, Fit. And they're like, well, wrestling's kind of gone beyond that gimmicky stuff. We don't do that anymore. Okay. So every now and then the writers would come down. So writers come down, I pitched it to them. No, Vince wouldn't do that. He wouldn't like that. So I'm sitting in that meeting with him. Vince is there. Stephanie McMahon's there. Vince goes, I want to get back to character-based wrestling. And I just spit out the character. Great, we'll start on Monday.
He liked it right away.
Well, I think I was at a point in my career
right.
that I either needed to do something and try or get released.
Right. Right.
And just so happened, Steve Austin walks in. It was February of 2004. Austin came back for something, and Vince goes, Steve, you ever seen this guy wrestle? And he goes, no, I don't think so. I said, well, I was trained by Danny Davis because I knew that Danny and Austin had a friendship in Dallas when they wrestled in Dallas. And he looks, goes, oh, it's probably one of the best then. And it was like that vote of confidence that, and then they put me in the great booking by putting me with as Eric Bischoff's nephew. So I had instant credibility.
Right.
And then they put me with William Regal.
Right.
Because I was never extremely strong on cutting the promos, so Eugene didn't have to be. And Regal could cover for me.
Sure.
And a lot of times he could just be the straight man and do everything and get it, and I could throw the little lines in there and be comedy.
Did you have trepidations about this role? Did Bischoff have trepidations about being involved in this type of role, or was it just like everybody's on board, let's just do this?
I mean, I don't think so. I think, it was written, the special kid's going to be Bischoff's nephew just to kind of knock him. But to me, he was all in. He was, all right, let's do it. And Regal was just coming back after a long time off, an injury, and he was ready to go. Cornette and Danny Davis were the ones that were really like, are you sure you want to do this? I mean, this might not be. And I was like, this might be my one opportunity because I don't know that I would get a second one. So I was like, I'm just going to run with it. And the thing is I'd wrestled at that point for 8 years. And I say often, I was a 10-year overnight success because Rip Rogers, what I'd be like, make the mistakes now, learn from them so you don't make them again. And when I got there, they gave me a little bit, and I did good. They gave me a little more, I did good, and started to get over. And I was at a point where I could go out and wrestle and not have to worry about the wrestling and just concentrate on having fun and being the character. And really, it was just, they say that the characters are something inside of you, and it was just like me remembering when I was a kid how I felt about wrestling. If I was excited, I'd be excited. Or if, kids get yelled at, get kind of scared, whatever. And I just try to bring out those emotions and just try to connect with the fans. And it was at a time when it was post-NWO, post-Steve Austin, but everybody still wanted to be a cool, strong heel. I don't want to sell. I want to get all my shit in. I want to do all my stuff. And then I just went out there. I wanted to sell and do comedy. Because at the time, Hurricane was the only kid's character, and the brands were split. So I knew that there was one show that didn't have a kid's character, didn't have a comedy character.
Gotcha.
And so I just ran with it. And the one thing that really helped me was the writer, Brian Gerwick, that wrote a lot of the Rock stuff. he could write for Eugene. He knew exactly how to write for Eugene. And they actually wrote a movie for Eugene.
Movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
You ever see Big Show's movie, Knucklehead?
Yes.
Or
That was
Eugene's movie?
you.
Yep.
Holy.
But I went up and got myself released before I could do any of the acting. So.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Let's go back a little bit.
Yep.
How are your parents? Hey, Mom, Dad, I think I just want to be a wrestler. What do they say?
My mom goes, you better do it because you don't want to live your life and be a wish I had. You don't want to be
Awesome.
45 years old and be, damn, I wish I would have tried that when I was 19.
Right.
Wow.
And that was just it. I just wanted to try it. And it was something where I did pretty good in a small independent company in Louisville, Kentucky, and Southern Indiana. And then when WWE came in, I got to know those guys. So when they all got called up, I knew everybody in the locker room. And it was just something where a lot of good things fell in place, and I was surrounded by a lot of good teachers. And I just, worked hard.
How does it feel to achieve your dream like that? I mean, you did it.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? Like I got the action figure, I got the teddy bear. I was in the ring with The Rock. I was in the ring with Hulk Hogan. I pinned Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. WrestleMania 21 is one of my favorite. I sent it to him this morning where Hogan comes to save you after those freaking Arab villains. That's right, those Arab villains. They were beating on Eugene. It was terrible. The music hits. The place goes bonkers.
That's
what a
crazy.
great moment. Oh, my God. I got to ask you, your OVW career, I find you to be very interesting as far as the internet goes. While they usually love to destroy the entertainment aspect, a lot of these internet guys, they do realize what your background was with OVW. And I find it kind of amazing. You're in a very special niche with the internet as far as the way they look at you, because those OVW days do add credence to everything, at least in their eyes. So I've always found that impressive. Being a 10-time champion down there, you worked with Jim Cornett for obviously a long time. What's your impressions on Jim Cornett? How was he towards you? And is he really like this in real life? He's so combative. You know how he could be. How was he behind the scenes for you?
He can be, absolutely. Everything you see on Twitter or see of him on any video, he can be. But at the time, I was the top babyface, and I had probably the most experience of the OVW guys, and the developmental guys were coming in, and he wrote well for me. And I was on time, my ears were open, my mouth was shut. I did what I was told as best I could, and he wrote well for me. So there was four of us. It was Rob Conway, myself, Doug Basham, and Danny Basham, who was the Damager, and we were always kind of in the top tiers, working with the developmental guys that were weaving their way through, and pulling off really good, exciting TV for Louisville. And I think some of that is out there, but WWE owns all the footage now, and they never really released any of it on the network, just a little bit here and there. And it's like a lot of stuff that I wish would get released, because then people could see more of what I did then.
And plus, you get those residuals.
I don't know.
Really?
I like with the network. I don't know what we get for that. I mean,
Right.
if there's merchandise still out there, we give. I don't know, because we don't have a union, so we can't renegotiate those.
Well, we're gonna. You know what? We're just gonna jump into it right there. So we grew up WWF guys, and we'll talk about it, but we're huge Vince McMahon guys, and
we are.
we're a little we're on the right, and Vince
a little bit.
falls in that.
A little bit.
There's a lot of pro wrestling experts that say out there that Vince has taken advantage of all these old-time wrestlers who now can't carry their own, and they have all these physical issues and drug issues. Your feelings, should there be full medical even for ex-wrestlers, and does Vince McMahon owe them all this for creating the WWF, RE?
I go back and forth. I think at a certain point, yes, because this has become a $1 billion conglomerate, and when they brought it upon the network, I mean, they made huge amounts of money. And then when they started doing the Saudi Arabian deals, they made huge amounts of money. I mean, this is a worldwide, global, small business, because they only employ like less than 50 people. And I feel like we give everything in a time span of generally 4 years is the average career span, that then we have to go through the rest of our lives with aches and pains and injuries. If we don't get it, I mean, I wouldn't be bad for that, but wouldn't be upset with that. But I feel like it might be something that should be talked about. It should be a discussion with somebody. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's the government and Vince.
But don't you feel like if you had a union, you'd be capped out? Like, for example, someone like Dwayne Johnson wouldn't be Dwayne Johnson if he was in that union, right? Because it would just be these cap levels, right, that went on with that union. And you have this whole advantage of if you get over as Eugene, which you did, you have this huge windfall that you can get out of it. If you fail, time's up, and maybe you're doing something else.
Yeah, it's definitely the opportunity. Everybody gets the same opportunity, and it's your opportunity to succeed or fail.
Right.
But if we destroy our bodies in the ring for this entity that has become something on its own, it feels like at some point we're all in a family, and we've contributed to the family, and it would be nice just to, as the years go by, to be taken care of a little bit, not a lot. Just like the guys that play 4 years in the NFL, they get a little pension, or a little money, just something,
right?
Because there's less WWE superstars throughout history than there are NFL players. There's a huge amount of NFL players, but yet they can all get a little something if they play X amount of years. I don't know.
And to your point, there's a small lifespan for a pro wrestler as far as being over, right? It's not that long.
The reason why I would understand, and I do understand his point of view, is I also believe that if there ever is to be some sort of correction with these sort of things, it should be judged on a case-by-case basis. His opinion is very valid. He worked for them for years, and he also worked with OVW, which was a subsidiary of theirs, which was the pre-NXT thing. He's got a right to feel this way.
Stop using big words like subsidiary.
Sorry, bro. I got to reevaluate my grammar. But my point being, though, is that what do you do with other guys who some of them worked for Crockett? They didn't even work for Vince. Vince is supposed to pay for them now all these years. I think it should be based on a case-by-case thing.
It would definitely have to be. I mean, because like you were saying, in OVW, I was taking bumps and getting beaten up by Batista when he was stiff as hell and beating people up.
Vince's future cash
and
with those guys.
And I contributed to guys like Cena and Brock and those guys. Not that I was the only one, but I was one of them in there. And
Absolutely,
it would be nice.
The growth process, you're part of that physically,
I
not just.
I want to talk to you of that list of guys. When Orton was there, how did you feel about Orton? Did you feel like, oh, this is bullshit, this guy's coming off a cowboy?
Was he ahead of the rest of them, that class, though, as far as a wrestler when he first got there? He had to be.
Or better yet, did you feel as a guy who made, you worked your ass off, and here comes Randy Orton, Ace's son, and he's walking right in there. I mean, what's your thoughts there?
I love Randy, and I did at the time because that was somebody that I could wrestle with. All of them, each guy, I could figure out what are their strengths, and let's play to their strengths. Let's hide their weaknesses, and let's have good matches with everybody.
Well, you did a great job with Leviathan at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with him, and I knew what he did well, and we just kept it in those parameters.
Was he somewhat dangerous in the early days as far as
No, he wasn't dangerous. He was just rugged and just stiff, and it's like, I mean, he wasn't dangerous, and he never hurt me, but those guys stole forearms with all that muscle behind it, and if they don't hit it exactly right, it's going to a little hurt.
Not knowing what you know now of that list, who did you pick to come out as the cream of the crop?
Nice.
I don't know. Like, when I first saw Batista, I was like, oh, my God, this guy's enormous.
Yeah.
But then we would have promo days where we would just get in the ring, and somebody would interview somebody, and Cena was by far off the charts phenomenal.
Really?
He can make you cry. He can make you laugh. He can make you angry. And they would try to stump him. Okay, you've got a four-way Mario Kart match against Obi-Wan Kenobi and like all these fictional characters, and he would just nonstop, just on point, just cutting promos on people. I think they had him in a match with his own nuts one time, and he cut a promo on his own nuts.
That's pretty good.
And it was like it was just on the spot.
What, he couldn't see them?
Oh, that's pretty funny.
I can't take it.
Women's Revolution, or Evolution, sorry.
Yeah.
Did you see that coming out of OVW, right? Because you had some really top-level women out of there, too,
well,
right?
not so much when I was at OVW, but when I was a coach at the Performance Center is when they first hired Sasha Banks and Charlotte and Bayley. And I remember Charlotte was kind of upset one day. She wasn't – there might have been other coaches there that might have been a little bit harder on her and didn't build her up, and she was thinking of quitting. And I told her, I said, are you kidding me? I said, you're the best one here. You're going to make it. You're going to be great. And she told me later, like, it was that boost of confidence that just, she pushed through it, and she was having some tough times with, family issues and all the things that went on. And I just said, keep going. You're doing well. She's a phenomenal athlete. Great.
Charlotte, very sensitive in real life, Charlotte Flair.
Not that I saw, but I mean, it was different because I was a coach. I wasn't one of the other wrestlers, so I was kind of seen differently, and I would only see him a couple hours a day.
Mike's worried that she keeps going to the doctor because people criticize her looks and stuff. That she's getting.
I mean, you're talking to me.
Hey.
Again, probably the greatest women's wrestler, and
I
I
think
also
so.
said she challenges her father to be one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
I say
too.
slow down with that, but she's
social
great.
media. I see they're ripping this woman apart. I apologize.
Yeah,
and it's not right.
The
It's
smart
not right.
ones are killing Charlotte Flair.
I don't know. It's
What?
I couldn't imagine being a woman, and because their standards of what they have to look like all the time and be like is much different than men.
I wouldn't want that.
And then the pressure of people.
How
you know,
much shit did you take on social media?
Oh, I usually repost. I never blocked anybody. I'm like, okay, say whatever you want.
You know, Babe Ruth's a pretty good player. That's this guy.
There you
That's
go.
freaking great.
All right,
That's
we'll
great.
be right back with pro wrestling superstar Eugene.
Batter up.
Do you treat your dog as part of the family? Well, so do we. So why not celebrate your pup's birthday with the ultimate party box? Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Party Pup Info, and let us make your pup's party or any celebration perfection.
M&J Video Games and Collectibles. Sport and non-sport cards, wrestling items, autographed items. We buy, sell, and trade. M&J Video Games and Collectibles, located at 1049 Queen Street, Southington, Connecticut. Call us at 1-860-479-9223 or 860-93-GAMES. M&J Video Games and Collectibles.
You want to star in your own success? Call QuickCast. www.quickcast.com. 866-7-CAST-NOW. That's 866-7-CAST-NOW. QuickCast.
Start your own success.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's number one pro wrestling broadcast, Monty DeFaro, only seen here out of Indie Music TV. We are honored, privileged, humble to have former WWE superstar, former OVW superstar, just what an incredible wrestler, Eugene.
All right, my friend, what do we got here? Oh, okay. When you got the call up in 2004, all these years, you know, I mean, you did. Well, you said you were about 8 years in when you got there. You get the call, and you walk into that office, and there he is, the George Steinbrenner of pro wrestling, because we're Yankee fans. But there he is, man, the fearless leader. What was it like to meet Vince McMahon? What is he like?
I mean, I was intimidated, but you know, I mouth shut. How you doing, sir? Nice to meet you. And he just asked me, "You got any ideas of what you want to do?" And that's when, without thinking, I just spit out that idea of, you know, the character that might not be very social, can't tie his shoes, and him and Stephanie kind of went back and forth on, well, we could do this, and that'd be funny, you know, and just kind of some little ideas, and he liked it. And like I said, it was a time where I really needed to either put up or shut up, and I didn't think they thought I would succeed. I thought they were, okay, we'll give this guy a chance, and it'll fizzle out, and then that'll be it.
Right.
But I remember before I was on TV, I wrestled Lance Cade, and it was in St. Louis. It was during the Final Four, so it was like an afternoon show. And I was never on TV, and I went out and wrestled Lance, and by the end of the match, they were chanting Eugene's name for a guy that they'd never seen on TV, which I think is almost unheard of.
Fans loved you.
I come back through the curtain, Arn, Triple H, Stephanie, all of them applause.
There you go.
Triple H, like, you know, you really embraced the character. You didn't go out there and try to act like it. You became it. And I think once that happened, then they were sold on it.
I'm discovering now, because it always seemed like you enjoyed yourself playing that character. And I'm seeing that you clearly did.
Well, I mean, that's the thing I tell all the guys. If you're out there having fun, the fans are going to know it, and they're going to get with it.
Yep.
The guys that are out there trying to remember or panicked or not sure what to do, and then they're frozen.
Was it being a fan of Hogan growing up that you were able to recognize the sympathy portion of your character? Because when Hogan would take those terrible beatings, the fans would be like, please, Hulk, come back. You were always able to build on that. The fans always had that sympathy. Was that growing up watching Hogan have anything?
I definitely recognized it with Hogan, but it was when I first started, Danny Davis was no longer wrestling. He was just the coach and doing the TV. But I wrestled Rip Rogers. And I wrestled probably for 3 years. I wrestled Rip Rogers at least once a week on one of our shows. And my ears were open, shut my mouth, and he would just. And he was
got chopped for 3 straight years.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, he was a 42-year-old bodybuilding man, and we were like 19-year-old boy.
Yeah,
all this work,
making mincemeat.
And he just would, and he looked mean. And I'd watch him before I started wrestling. Like, this guy scares me. All these guys are doing stuff that we do in practice, and I see that, but I watch him, and I'd be in there scared. but then it was so easy. And then he was so light, and he would talk to me, fire up, do this, do that, and then I could hear the crowd. And then the light bulb started to come on, and it became so easy. He was the one that taught me how to perform in the ring.
Wow. You feel he's a little underrated?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
I think I think he's an individual. Some people might say he's a little quirky, but he definitely, he's. I definitely love Rip. He's a great guy.
Fan Dan Crusader out there is asking, what was more thrilling, beating Kurt Angle for the gold medal or beating Triple H?
Ooh.
I did pin Triple H on Raw.
Yeah.
But when I beat Kurt Angle, I got the medal.
Yeah.
Christy Hemme was there too. I don't know. It's a toss-up.
I'll go with Christy Hemme.
I'm going with the medal. I
don't know, but how many people? Who's the last guy that pinned Triple H on Raw?
As far as rarity goes, but how many people have had Kurt's medal?
Wait, first of all, how hard was that? Was Triple H like, I don't know.
I don't want to do it.
It makes. I mean, when Eugene started to get over, then Triple H goes, "Oh yeah, I want to work with this guy," and I just listened to him, and it was very similar to working with Rip. It was like, he's going to get all the heat, and I was just going, be me.
So you worked with McMahon and you worked with Bischoff, probably one of the greatest minds in pro wrestling. Yeah. Who are you choosing as the greatest mind between those two?
I think you have to go with Vince. I really do. Yeah. But I mean, Eric also, at one point in time, made more money with the wrestling company than anybody had in history. And Eric was like very personable with me. And I could talk to Vince, but I didn't have that relationship. But I did with Eric. And I ran a show in Sioux Falls, and he came in for free. And we made a donation to a local charity there. And he came in, and we did the musical chairs, and he was on the show for me. So it was really awesome.
That's great. That is great.
What is your memories of WrestleMania? You got a particular favorite? For me, it's with Hogan. The crowd went ballistic. But is that your favorite WrestleMania?
Well, absolutely. I mean, that was the only one that I was really out in front of the crowd.
Right.
The next couple, I was doing some backstage segments, but I mean, they were all fun. Just the whole experience, the whole, all
was
the
that
stuff.
like a dream for you? I mean,
Absolutely.
you're talking about your childhood favorite, basically.
I mean,
here he is saving you. Oh my God!
I never even thought I would make it to WWE. I wanted to do wrestling. I thought I'd be an indie wrestler and have fun. And I was going to college. I graduated college, and I probably thought I'd end up a football coach at my high school or something, and ended up in the ring with Hogan at Mania, action figure, T-shirt, main events. Like, oh my gosh!
Did you get goosebumps when the music hit?
I still do right now.
This is awesome.
When The Rock came out, okay, when I did the segment with The Rock, I got to TV early, and I was friends with Rob Conway, and then that's when he was tagging with Sylvain Grenier when they were La Resistance. Sylvain knew Pat Patterson, so he comes up to me early in the day. We were in San Diego. He goes, they got this good thing for you, and they're either going to bring in The Rock or they're going to use Rhino. And not a knock on Rhino, but that's a big distinction. The Rock
you're rooting for The Rock.
And I'm going, he's not going to come. There's no way. He's in L.A., we're in San Diego. I mean, he's not. And then he shows up, and we start going through the segments. And I had, I think, 6 segments on Raw that day. And one of them was the one in the ring. And we did the whole walkthrough beforehand. He doing all the spiel. Here's your line. I missed it backstage. Okay, so I had to go run around and do some other stuff, and I come back. I missed it backstage again. Missed it. In the ring, live on TV, he walks by, he's doing his little trot around me, he goes, your line's next, kid, and just fed it to me right there. And it was like, it was that 15-minute or 18-minute segment that made me a star.
Yep.
Right.
That made me a made man.
Right.
And the coach was in there, too. The coach came and wrestled me in Sioux Falls also. So, I mean, it was like, the coach says also that was the biggest, best moment, the loudest, the most electricity. It was phenomenal.
You were over. You mentioned Lance Cade. Lance doesn't get a lot of talk, but did you know Lance was having problems? Like, did you have that kind of relationship with him?
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't live in the same city he lived in, but I knew because we kind of ran in the same circles. We rode together a lot, so I mean, there was several guys that were kind of in that circles, and I didn't know. I guess I didn't know how bad it was, but I think he would have been world champion, top guy without a doubt.
He had a look. He had the look.
Well, if you remember, like his last match, Sean put him over.
Yeah.
And that was the Rocket. The Rocket was starting right there. And he just stumbled. And
Any thoughts on Trevor Murdoch, the way Trevor Murdoch is still going all these years later?
Trevor's a good dude.
Surprise you that he's still
No, not at all.
He's got a nice little push over at NWA Power.
He's doing well. He's a good worker. He's great guy.
Definitely old school.
Yep.
Definitely old school.
All right, with that, we'll be right back after this commercial break with pro wrestling legend Eugene.
We shall return.
Jimmy, I gotta take a dump. What? No, I mean I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP. The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
In the mood for a freshly roasted cup of coffee? www.offtherailscoffeeroasters.com. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monty and the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York, with a special guest, our honor, Eugene. How are you, buddy?
There he is. Look, LTD, living the dream.
Bro, you are in great shape, by the way.
I'm trying.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I train pro wrestlers in Sioux Falls and Midwest All Pro Wrestling.
There you go.
You guys got fast food joints over there?
There are some, yeah.
So you stay away from those.
I choose to cook. So
there you go. Okay.
Where's Ronkonkoma for? What's the name of the city?
Ronkonkoma.
Where does that come from?
So Long Island
Indian
has a
based.
bunch of towns
Indian-based
are
name.
all Indian-based, right?
Yeah, we're very Indian.
So everything,
Long Island.
See, one thing about New York
kinda
is
cool.
you have the water, you have anything you want here
Yeah.
on Long Island, right?
Yeah.
Anything you want
Yeah.
is on Long Island. The only problem is it costs so much money to live out here. It's utterly ridiculous.
it's
And it takes forever to go anywhere.
It's
damn
insane.
My
It's,
goodness.
we got 8 pounds of shit in a 2-pound bag out here.
How long did it take you? You came in from New Jersey. How long did it take
From
you to
Newark, I
drive through
think
here?
it took us like 2.5 hours to go. I don't know how many miles it is, but it's not 2.5 hours worth.
Yeah,
Oh, my
bring your
God,
shaving
man.
kit. It's going to be a while. Yep, absolutely. We're so used to it, though, here.
So, as you mentioned before, you work with so many greats.
Yeah.
We always talk about this. John Cena, we feel, is the last great pro wrestling superstar.
Seems to be.
Period.
On that huge level, seems to be.
How was John Cena? Was he a good guy?
Oh, absolutely. Love him to death. We became friends when he was in OVW. And then when I started on the road, he was on SmackDown. But then when he moved to Raw, when I first started on the road, I rode with Regal and Tajiri. And it was like Barnum and Bailey Circus on wheels. And then when
Jerry.
Regal got Tajiri went back to Japan,
I
Regal
love
went to
Tajiri.
SmackDown, Cena came to Raw, and I would ride with Cena. And I mean, without a doubt, awesome guy. We got pulled over one time, and the police officer pulled us over because he had his kid with him to meet John Cena. And I saw people come out of, raining in an intersection, get out of their car in the intersection to take a picture. And he would do it without a doubt. Get out and I mean, he'd get in the car and go, "That guy's an idiot," but he's like, but for the kids, absolutely. And whatever, over 500 Make-A-Wishes and the most requested Make-A-Wish person of all time. That's a difficult thing to do, and he just embraces it.
It's not easy to say this, but I have to ask you: is there some truth that he's killed a few careers behind the scenes, like Ryback, who loves to squawk about it? Any truth to those things, or in the past when somebody was dating one of his girls, he got rid of them? And I mean, is there some of that? Because
I've seen all the rumors, but I never saw it with him.
Okay,
I can't say that it's not true, but I can't confirm it.
Interesting.
So I can tell. I'm sure you could tell.
Yeah.
You're a good guy. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
just tell
Yeah,
you're a good
he's
human
cool.
being, which is very cool.
Yeah.
But I will ask you this, and
Uh-oh.
I just
Uh-oh.
look, there's got to be a dick out there that you couldn't deal with.
Yeah.
There's got to be
Who's the
somebody
hemorrhoid?
that you're like, this
There's
guy's
gotta
a
be a
dick,
hemorrhoid
and
out there
I'm just
somewhere.
done with him. Or this girl's a dick. I don't know.
What
whatever.
pimple would you have loved to have popped?
Well, like I said, I love Randy, but I saw him do. He used to be a dick. Never to me. He and I were friends, but I saw him do some not nice things to certain people. But he's not like that anymore.
Okay.
But there really was no one in the locker room that people dislike, because if there's somebody like that, they would end up.
Can you share like something Randy Orton had done that you looked and said, "What are you doing, bro?"
Oh, I never said what you and I laughed. So we went to Nashville. We wrestled.
50,000 people here.
Yeah,
this,
just
but it's okay.
50,000. Yeah. There was a young lady that came to the matches, and afterwards we ran by her house, and she ran to the bathroom. So she had a Mountain Dew bottle, and Randy put it somewhere, and then she came back, and the whole time she's like, and then finally.
Wait, hold on. Back it up. So every time she's reaching, is everybody like,
like this, like this, and then she just takes a big swig. All right, let's go.
"Oh my God!"
He had fluids in his head. He had fluids in his head. He had to go. He went instead. Oh my God!
How about him shitting in people's gear bags?
I never saw him do it, but I've heard those rumors. I mean, throughout the years that people have done that.
Oh my
I mean,
God!
everybody would talk about Lawler's crown getting filled up, but I never saw anything like that,
Oh my God! What was it like? After you get to the top finally, and you have a very nice run. Most wrestlers would kill to get that kind of attention on mainstream WWE television. What was it like? Was it hard leaving and going back to the indie circuit, or did all those years you did in OVW prepare you for life after the big, exposure? Was it easy afterwards?
I really wasn't sure what to expect, but then once I got released, my phone started ringing off the hook, and I was booked more after I got released than I ever was, and that's when it really became fun, because then there was no pressure, and that's when I'd get to go somewhere and I could really look around at the sites and get to see people, because before we'd fly in, we'd go to the building, we'd go back to the airport and fly back out, or hotels, and just going so fast. But then I got to sit back and appreciate it, and I got to take, my wife, we were engaged at the time, I got to take her to England and to France with me.
Can we pull back a little? You're a mainstream guy, you're killing it, they're releasing you. Can you share with the fans and with us, what were your feelings like? What were the discussions with your fiance at the time? Was it like, oh shit, my life is now over?
No, I was crushed, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was non-compliant on one drug test, and that's when I got released.
Say that again, one more time.
I was non-compliant. I failed one drug test.
Okay.
Didn't you get sick? Something like happened. Did you have a reaction to something?
Well, no, okay, so I had the knee surgery. Patella tear repaired. Usually takes 9 months to rehab. After 6 months, the doctor said I could go back. So I was like, okay. And that's when they put me in the angle with Kurt Angle.
Right.
And looking back now, I was nowhere near ready to be in there with him.
Okay.
Like, there was times he would shoot me off, and I was hobbling. I couldn't make it. And I was just taking as much pain pills as I could to, compensate for that.
Sure.
And we were in England, and I think I had a couple beers up in the room and took a couple pills and go to set my tray of food outside the door, and the door shuts on me. Didn't have the key, so I had to go down to the lobby. And, of course, all the fans, all the locker room, Triple H, everybody's is in the bar, passed out right before I made it to get a new key. So I had to take a little 9-week vacation, and then when I came back, the WWE doctor said, well, don't take any more of the somas, which I agree now. That is what kills all the wrestlers, is the somas.
Not the juice.
Not the juice, not the pain pills. I mean, pain pills are bad, but it's the somas that lower the breathing so much that people quit breathing.
Gotcha.
The doctor said, WWE doctor said, don't take any more somas, but you can take the pain pills. Okay. So then when I did, and then I ended up failing a test it was one that I had a prescription for, but then I couldn't prove that I had the prescription. Because that was the deal. Like, you could take it, you could take the prescribed amount, but I couldn't. The doctor that I got it from, he committed suicide. And it was like, I don't want to make excuses because I did something I shouldn't have done, but I had all my T's crossed and my I's dotted, my lowercase J's dotted.
So, behind every man is a strong woman. She was your fiancée at the time. She's your wife now. What did she say to you when you got released? And tell us a little bit about your wife.
Oh, so when I first started touring, I met her in 2004 in Sioux Falls. September 28th, 2004 is a Friday. Regal and I were doing a media day, and I met her, and she was on TV in Sioux Falls. So I went on her TV show. She had a country music television show. Regal and I did, and that was it. We exchanged numbers, and we had a long-distance relationship for about 2 years. But in Sioux Falls, like anywhere in the world, it's Eugene and Mrs. Eugene. In Sioux Falls, it's Stephanie and her husband. Because
Right.
she's more popular in Sioux Falls than I am, because everybody knew her from TV. Mm-hmm. And she was quite upset, but she definitely stood by me, and and we're gonna keep plunging through. She stood, she awesome.
When she pisses you off, do you just break into the Eugene gimmick?
That would
Just to
you can get out of
just get her
anything
off your
doing
ass, you
that.
just break into the Eugene.
Yeah,
She's like,
you can just be cute and wave, and you can get out of anything.
She didn't find it cute anymore.
Oh,
she's
man.
like, can you shut up?
So it has a shelf life at home, huh? That's it, huh? Like the gimmick's over? I would have kept trying to do it till the end of time,
You can only pull that out so many times, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, we'll be back with pro wrestling superstar Eugene after this break. You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence, Collision Specialists, 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence.
And Nitro's Garage for all your automotive needs. Call 646-675-2349. That's 646-675-2349. For all your automotive needs, Nitro's Garage. Ask for Jack. Elm Logistics for all your logistic needs. Call 631-299-3595. That's 631-299-3595. Elm Global Logistics. Pride, performance, and partnerships.
Keep trying to think, but nothing happens.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monty and Farrell, only seen here out of Indie Music TV. It was a special Thursday show with pro wrestling legend. And you know what's scary?
What?
He's younger than us, and he's a pro wrestling legend.
He is younger than us.
I'm fucking like,
He's
I'm
like in the
pissed off.
Mike Knox Club. You know,
I'm
not too many people come in here that are young.
I really don't want younger guys in.
I do.
Really?
Absolutely. It keeps us young. You feed off it like Derrick Rose is feeding off the playoff-bound New York Knicks. I know. You don't care. They're out in the first round. I know.
Thank you.
Let's
for
let's move
By the way,
on.
Phil, thank you for the bits, baby. Thank you for the bits, my friend.
For the bits. Eugene, let's go, man. What is wrong with today's wrestling in Eugene's opinion?
I don't know. I mean, for
Come
me,
on. What irks you? There's got to be something.
I follow it lightly. Like, I follow it on Twitter, on social media. I don't necessarily watch everything.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that there's ever been a time that I disliked it, because there'd always be something little. There might be, if somebody does something artistically that I disagree with, that just like you could do it better in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But WWE is making more money now than they ever have.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't say they're doing something wrong. You know, they've got more fans now than they ever have.
Mm-hmm.
Now AEW sprung up. You know, TNA is still
By the
around.
way, you just heard it from Eugene, right? As much as people go, WWE, they just turned over $1 billion deal.
Yeah.
It's all about making money,
That's
but
it.
go ahead. Go ahead.
That's the thing. It's like, you know, what's the greatest match of all times? The match that drew the most money. The match that drew the most people. You know, your favorite match could be this or that, but, you know, that's the whole thing. Is we're here to put, you know, an ass every 17 inches.
So here's a question for you. Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 3. Okay? Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair.
Maybe one of the
Pick one of those
yeah.
three matches. Which one was more important?
Hogan Andre. They drew 93,000 people.
He's very
And
wise.
how many people did Steamboat and Flair draw?
I mean, they were in a smaller building.
we go.
But in
2,000.
Yeah,
I'll help you. 2,000.
I didn't remember. Yeah.
Again, good match, but
Not good.
But how many people did Roman Reigns and Triple H draw in that Texas stadium?
100,000.
Right?
Yeah.
damn straight.
You're right.
Roman Reigns.
I know they
the
picked.
goods.
There's another one that the internet kills. I think he's great. We've always liked him.
So, but it's like you said, that's legitimate heat that he has with people.
That's right.
And that's what you got to feed off.
guess
You have a
that's what
wrestling
they're not-
school, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you a scenario. Kid comes in here, slick back hair, sunglasses, blue jeans.
Oh, no.
Blue jean jacket.
Oh no.
T-shirt.
Yeah, but where are his hands?
Hands in his pockets.
Ah.
And you're like, hey, kid, show me what you got. And he goes, well, here's my first move. I'm going to lightly kick you in the shins. If I'm running a wrestling school, I'm going, get the fuck out of my school, you piece of shit. What would Eugene do?
Well, after I took his money, I would, you know. If he was over with the fans,
Right.
then I would say, well, you know, somebody out there likes this.
Right.
It might not be my cup of tea.
Right.
And if I got in the ring with him, I mean, it wouldn't. I wouldn't play patty cakes. It would
Right.
it'd be a little bit, you know. I would try to make the best out of what he was good at. You know, try to accentuate his strengths and try to limit his
But
weaknesses.
how do you come back off a gimmick like that? You can't, in my opinion. Your gimmick was someone with special needs, but knew how to wrestle, big dude, right? Special needs. This dude's like, I don't know how you can recover from this, how you can be taken seriously. When AEW starts going out in the open market with fans, I don't think Orange Cassidy is bringing in 100,000 fans.
But he might not be the guy that's meant to bring in 100,000 fans.
True.
He might be the opening comedy act. This is what Eugene was.
Oh, I think they have more planned for him than that. But of all the wrestlers who could understand why a shtick, while it might not be traditional, I'm sure you can understand that if you saw Orange Cassidy's gimmick, you're like, hey, like you said, if you're over, you're over.
And I mean, I don't know that AEW's been around long enough to know, but WWE, they can make anything right. They took the mask off of Kane and made it believable. You know what I mean? They can write anything if they really want to. They can make anything right. You know, so I mean, it's able in the wrestling world because we're in a phony, baloney, make believe world. We're doing oiled up pretend fighting in our underwear against other men. We can't take it too seriously.
Right.
But is that what's wrong? You know, you should ask this question. We were just talking about that, right? Us growing up, right? We knew wrestling wasn't real, but I will tell you, going to Madison Square Garden, Snooker Morocco, I had a friend, and I'm like, it's fake. That guy got so pissed off at me.
Because we grew up in the pre-wrestling is fake, the kayfabe thing had not been ruined yet. The generation today that's in their 25, 30 years old, they're the first post-kayfabe being obliterated generation. They don't look at wrestling the same way we did. There was a sense of realism.
It was like, I know wrestling's fake, but this one time, I saw this guy really hit. He was really mad.
Thank you.
And that's what you wanted. That's how you hooked him. Now that we say it's entertainment, okay, well, let's do entertainment.
Right.
Hey, we're 50 now. But back in the day, we were 30, and with McMahon towards Austin, it goes, "You ruined it." I'm like, "Oh shit, this is real."
Oh, that whole
this
Tyson,
is real.
The whole Tyson
every now and then, you can still hook the people. I remember when Lawler wrestled The Miz in that ladder match for the title in Philadelphia on his birthday. Arn Anderson gave him the nod backstage, and I saw him. Oh my God, he's going to win the title! And I was on. I grew up in Louisville. I watched Lawler every week. I was a Lawler fan. And then that Michael Cole came in, and that was the last time that wrestling got me. But I loved it. I loved it. And then he died on TV.
Yeah.
My God. And they brought him back.
But when does it get too far when a guy like Orange Cassidy is, wrestling in his pocket, has his hands in his pocket, someone's got him in a full Nelson, his hands in the pocket, and when he's reaching down, he breaks a full Nelson, and we got a legend like Jim Ross selling this on the microphone.
You know what Brock Lesnar would do to him week one. If Vince
that's
signed him,
that's what used to be done.
He'd obliterate that gimmick.
Yeah, that's what used to be done.
He'd put his hands in his pockets, and Lesnar would just break him in half, and that would be the end of that.
Yeah.
That's what Vince
But like
does.
you said, it's entertainment now.
Right.
Right. And with the... I'll probably get heat for this, but the Snowflake Society, it's a different mentality.
Yes.
And I see it, and I don't necessarily like it or follow it, but if the fans like it, I feel like that's the direction that we can, pursue.
Right. What works, works. Are you amazed that, look, the WWE fans have not seen Eugene, in 14 years for the most part. Are you amazed that 2-year window has given you so much joy in the post-career now? I mean, this is freaking awesome for you, right?
Absolutely.
Those 2 years.
It was that 15 minutes with The Rock that made me, that's then allowed me to do wrestling, which is what I wanted to do my entire life. It allowed me to travel around the world still. I have my own wrestling company. I'm still running shows. I'm in the ring every week, so it's phenomenal.
What was your favorite match of all time, and what do you consider the greatest match of all time?
Oh. Like I said, the greatest match of all time was probably the ones that drew the most people or the most money. They said Ric Flair against Antonio Inoki in North Korea drew 200,000 people. Right. I don't know what the truth is. I don't know if those people were forced to go, but still, that's a huge audience. Right. My favorite matches were Dynamite Kid against Tiger Mask.
Okay.
I watched wrestling, and when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best stuff I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'll tell guys, like, sometimes those guys could only have those type matches with each other. You see Tiger Mask against somebody else, it was a little bit of that, or Dynamite against somebody else, but it wasn't those two together. A couple years later, it was Johnny Storm and Jody Fleisch in England. These guys were having phenomenal matches, but they could only do it with each other. And then was the English kid, and he wrestled Ricochet in Japan. Ospreay and Ricochet.
Oh, Will Ospreay.
Phenomenal matches, but again, they wrestle somebody else. They can't do that. And I try to say, accentuate your opponent's strengths and make the match. Don't go out there and try to get your stuff over. Get his stuff over. And that's how you get the match
Is something lost, though, when a wrestler is 150 pounds compared to a guy like you at 230 and 240 and guys at 300? Is there something lost in translation at a point where wrestling isn't being taken as seriously by fans either?
Or are we just old school?
I don't know, because, again, WWE's making more money than they ever have. And it's our job to make my opponent look plausible. One of the first live event matches I had was against A-Train. Eugene against A-Train. And Eugene was just running around doing comedy, and A-Train was taking me lightly, and I think he ripped the buckle off, and he charged and missed, and he hit the metal buckle and fell down. And I sat on his chest crying because he tore up my bear. And I counted 1, 2, 3. I sat down. I accidentally stumbled and sat down on him. And it was his idea. It was like, he made it believable.
It's hilarious.
All right, we're going to bounce back to this one. Third-party issues with the wrestlers, right? So now the wrestlers had their own, they use their own name or their character, and social media has become quite the revenue stream for these wrestlers, and the WWE said, no, it ain't happening, right? You could use your real name. What are your thoughts on that? You think the WWE is being...
too controlling?
Yeah, maybe. Better
Well,
word. Thank you.
if it's the name that you have on TV, not your real name, but if it's the name that you've signed, the intellectual property of Eugene that I signed off to WWE, I see where they have a legal standing. But if you're using your own name, I don't think there's any way that they could stop you. And I think that's a little bit of overreach and trying to keep everybody. But again, if we had a union, they could say, hey, this is separate. This is what they get. I don't know. I don't believe it's right that somebody, your social media is your social media. If I'm going to go do the WWE social media and go be on the .com and go talk on their Twitter, that's theirs.
So, but don't you think that if you had a union, back to the union thing, that the WWE would go, okay, well, that's part of the deal. But guess what? We get 50% of that because we're the one doing all your marketing for you. And so if you go on as Tom Jones,
6%.
You get 6%.
I did when these were out. So I mean, it's like an enormous amount.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It is.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's nothing to joke about. 6%.
These things are sold around the world. I mean, it's if you're on Strong and you're over.
Question: million of those sold?
I don't know how many, but I mean.
Well, you got to know. You get a check, right?
Yeah, I had one.
Well, now he has
check
to go home.
It was like more than I ever made in my entire life. It was like, oh my god.
Right.
It's like, oh, look at
Right.
this, bang bang.
Did you drive around with that thing for weeks, looking at it, going, "I have an action figure of myself"?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd be marking out all over the place. Monty and the Pharaoh action figures with kung fu grip.
There you go.
I had to go to L.A. and get in the machine, right, where they scan you and like
Oh.
it's you. So it's like
Cool.
really cool.
All right, Eugene, we're going to hit you with something we call the Pharaoh's Final Question, which is where the star of the show, Jimmy Pharaoh, is going to hit you with a question straight from that head of his.
Oh, great.
More than likely, it's going to be some kind of pro wrestling question.
What do you want me to ask him? Eugene, why is water wet? What?
Quantum physics. Go.
There you go. Unbelievable. I'm not sure. Wait a minute. Did he even answer this? I'll ask him now. What is your absolutely favorite match in your entire career?
Like
He
mine
did.
or like in wrestling?
He
You
did
know?
already. He can't use that one. He said Tiger Mask.
Yeah, Tiger Mask and Dynamite, the series they had.
No. Your own
No,
match.
his
Not
own match.
watching
all right,
Tiger
sorry.
Mask spin around
Sorry.
the ropes and do all that cool shit in '82. What's your favorite match that you experienced in the ring?
I don't know. I wrestled so many matches against Rob Conway and Doug Basham in small towns around Kentucky that were so much fun. I wrestled Rip Rogers all over the place. I wrestled Triple H. Like I said, I was in the ring with The Rock, in the ring with Hogan, Penn McMahon. I mean, the whole career was like a dream come
McMahon.
true. So I don't know that there's...
Wait a minute. You beat Vince and Shane, didn't you?
That's right. It was a handicap match.
Dude, he beat
I
both of them.
But I do know the greatest day of my career. And that was September 28th, 2004, the day I met my wife.
There you go.
Look at that.
Right day.
How much did they pay you to shave your head? What? When Vince shaved your head? How much did they pay you? Did they give you extra cash for that one?
Yeah, it was a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, but they shaved Bischoff's head too, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, you got him too.
Well, he wanted to do it, and then I remember
wanted to do it.
when Trump and Vince were building the angle for the shave the head, and I started thinking, I said, well, generally they're going to shave somebody's head to show, so what babyface has the most sympathy? Probably Shawn. They're not going to shave his head. Oh, God,
Years
I'm the
later.
next one, aren't I?
Years later, who would have
Years
known?
later, look at Sean. Go on.
and then the writers are calling me, and they're like stammering, like, we got to, it would be okay if maybe you thought about, sure, yeah, it's fine.
They should have made the hard bald kid.
Just pay me.
This is
All right.
The hard bald kid.
Eugene, I want to thank you for joining our show.
Thank you, guys.
What an honor. Where can fans see you this upcoming weekend? Do you have a list or anything? Do you know where you're going?
ESS has got it, man. I'm just on tour. I'm on the road with ESS because he's the best.
He is
But
the
I'm
best.
sure you can find Eugene on Twitter at Eugene Dinsmore. And then my pro wrestling company is Midwest All Pro Wrestling. Google that, and you'll see all the action we're doing. I like the YouTube. I got my own YouTube, Nick Dinsmore page, channel, and then the Midwest All Pro channel, and I'm making stars, making towns.
Go to that Nick Densmore YouTube page. Hit like, hit subscribe. More subscribers, the better. You've been watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. Upcoming shows next Thursday. Pro wrestling. What do you call it? Like
Extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire.
Yeah.
John
He's done all sorts of
Arezzi
things.
is
There
in
it
the
is.
studio. Do you know anything about John Arezzi?
I know the name.
Yeah.
So John Arezzi was the first guy who put together pro wrestling like meet and greets.
Shows, yeah.
He was the main guy.
He's the trailblazer for all those wonderful conventions you go to.
Awesome, yeah, absolutely. It's great.
He's had a very interesting life. This
No
is a
bumps,
great book,
no bumps.
folks. Matt Memories.
May 23rd, Tag America, our sponsor, on May 23rd from 12 to 4, we'll have Mr. USA Tony Atlas along with UWF star Sonny Beach,
Nice.
John Arezzi,
Nice.
and star of the wrestler Andrew Anderson will all be on hand.
Beautiful.
And again, You don't have to be in New York. You can go call Tag America, buy a raffle ticket. It's only $10, and you will get this autographed Tony Atlas hand-painted picture, which is valued at $3,500, which is the...
Tony Atlas hand-painted it?
No. Tag America did.
Although Tony Atlas
there you go,
is an
Eugene.
excellent artist.
But he will sign it to the winner of this raffle. It's worth about $3,500.
Body pressing Hulk
it.
Hogan from Shea Stadium, 1980.
Absolutely.
Yep. Good stuff.
So, again, call Tag America. They're on our sponsor list. May 27th, Mega Powers explode. Randy Hogan and Macho Man will be in studio.
Cream of the crop.
Here's one for you, brother. You ready? June 5th, 5 p.m., Jules Strongbow will be in studio. Do you remember Jules Strongbow?
Yes.
What do you remember about the Strongbow?
I just know the name. Like, I've seen the Chief J stuff, like some of the
What was the first wrestling match Eugene saw growing up? What started it all?
So it was Saturday Night's Main Event. It was post the first WrestleMania when Paul Orndorff, Piper, and Orton turned on Orndorff, and then Orndorff came back at him. And I remember watching Piper run under the bleachers and down the hall, and Orndorff chasing him, beating him, and I was like, and then Uncle Elmer gets married, and then I think it was Hogan against Volkov, and I was like, I'm hooked. That's what I want to do.
Elmer.
What did Piper mean to you?
Like, I liked him, but like not until I really started watching this stuff much later that all this stuff, like, my God, he was so phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're busy rooting for Hogan at the time.
Well, but like, you know, it was a 2-year window when I started watching post WrestleMania to WrestleMania 3 when he kind of retired, and then of course he came back. But I didn't get to see the plethora of his wrestling before that, where he's really like all over the place.
Hogan, Austin, Rock, Flair. Who's the greatest?
Okay, so this is what we do in Sioux Falls in South Dakota because we are the Mount Rushmore state. Who's the Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
How could I not?
That should have been the question. You blew it.
Well, he's covering for
All
me.
right,
Thank
good.
you, Eugene. Thank you.
So Mount Rushmore, 4 people.
yeah,
Mount
go
Rushmore.
Go for it.
Vince.
Nice.
He's the George Washington, right?
Amen.
I think it's Hogan. I think it's
Vince Hogan.
I think it's Austin.
Yep.
And I think it's Cena. And I think The Rock, there's another monument bigger than the Mount Rushmore called Crazy Horse. The Rock is Crazy Horse.
Unbelievable. And you know what?
hard
you
to
just
argue.
changed my list. You are 100%
Really hard.
correct.
Yeah, how can Vince not be on there? He's the mountain. He's the mountain itself.
Just announced June 19th at 10 a.m. Magnum TA will be in studio.
Oh, wow.
My God.
Magnum
I'm marking
TA.
out. I'm going to mark
Again,
out.
not NWA guys, but we used to catch on cable.
Come on.
And they were the enemy, right? We were WWF guys. They were the enemy, but we still watched.
You know what?
I didn't have cable. I didn't have cable when I was younger, so I had to go stay at somebody's house to watch NWA.
Yeah.
Cut yourself a break, too. You're a huge Freebird and Von Erich fan.
Absolutely.
Come on, cut yourself a break. We might have grown up here, but we got it.
June 28th at 4 p.m., which is a Monday, so that's a special show.
Yeah.
Baby Doll
Again?
in studio.
Oh, my God.
Dude, I love Baby Doll. I don't know.
Man, we don't sit still, do we?
All right,
Oy.
you can catch Monty and the Pharaoh on the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube page. Hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor. Catch us on the Monty and Pharaoh Facebook page. Catch us on Channel 115, Tuesday to 7 to 7:30. Early risers Saturday to 6 a.m. to 6:30. And Channel 20, which is a few hours from now.
Yeah.
Friday, 1:30 to 2 a.m.
time.
Pharaoh, any parting words, sir?
Oh, just an awesome show, Eugene. Thank you. You rock.
You do
It's
rock,
times like
brother.
these that we got to ask ourselves one question.
Go ahead.
What you gonna do, brother?
That's right. That's right.
Oh, you've been watching.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Whoa.
I gotta stop.
What?
Yard Ape 99 said.
What? Who?
Now I'm gonna step up first, but then Eugene's
Yard Ape?
gonna say something to you.
The Yard Ape?
Yard Ape.
The Yard Ape.
Yeah.
Yard Ape?
Cena, LOL. Get lost.
What?
Got to retort to that?
Thank you, Yard Ape.
I'm gonna step up for that. Yard Ape, we love you here. You're a great guy, but guess what? You're wrong. Cena is on the Mount Rushmore. How we can't put him on the Mount Rushmore, my friend? I'm sorry. If you hate the guy, that's all well and good.
Right.
You can't reject the fact that he is
Cena
one of the
Rock
greatest.
won, drew more money than any other match in history, correct?
Amen, sir.
That's it right there.
Yep.
And Orange Cassidy against whoever has drawn shit. With that, parting words.
Orange Cassidy, never heard of her.
Thank you. Exactly.
Babe Ruth was a great player, and you've been watching Monty and the Pharaoh. And until next time, later.